our holiday club. I hope you're having a great week and enjoying all of these superhero themed things. I thought we'd start off today with another superhero quiz. 5 questions to see how well you know your superheroes. So question number 1. Batman comes from what city? Question number 2. What is the name of Luke Skywalker's lady friend? What does Popeye like to eat? That's question number 3. Question number 4. What was Samson's superpower? And question number 5. Who had an enemy called Lex Luthor? I'll let you collate your answers. You can either write them down or you can just say them out loud. So let's go through the answers. Batman lives in Gotham City. If you had Gotham, that's fine. Question number 2. Luke Skywalker's friend is Princess Leia. Turns out to be his sister. Spoiler alert, sorry about that. Question number 3. Popeye likes to eat spinach. Question number 4. Samson's superpower is strength. A bit like the Incredible Hulk, except you don't think he turned green. Question number 5. Who has an enemy called Lex Luthor? It was Superman. How did you get on? Let me know how well you did in the comments. So the 2 people that we've looked at so far this week have a power. It might not be the ability to fly or become invisible, but it is a power nonetheless. Samson, as we've already talked about, had strength. That was his power. He could overturn things. He could protect God's people if he wanted to. And then David had the power of courage. It may not seem like a power, but it certainly was. Even though he was a little boy, a young man, he had the power and the courage to fight a giant. Imagine fighting a man that's 9 feet tall. That's how big he was. And today's story is all about a man who has faith in a very, very scary sleepover situation. Now, I love going to the zoo and I enjoy looking at all of the animals and all the weird creatures that God has created. Back in the late 19th century, there was no internet, no TV, there were no movies, and they didn't even have a radio. And when people had free time, they entertained themselves with books and the occasional trip to the theatre when they could afford it. But once a year, the whole town lit up with excitement when a circus came to town. I wonder if you've ever been to the circus. Circuses in the late 1800s were a sight to behold. Trains up to a mile long would pull into town. Giant canvas tents sprang up overnight. Posters were put up on every wall in the town, advertising the amazing acts waiting to be seen. I wonder if you have seen The Greatest Showman. That show tells the story of P.T. Barnum, one of the first circus owners. They would scour the globe for one-of-a-kind acts, and parents and children of all ages would pack inside the tents and see acrobats and trapeze artists, bareback riders, daredevils, animal acts, and even a wrestling show. From the beginning, one of the most popular attractions was a lion tamer. Fans received a chill when they saw the big giant cage was set up in the centre of the ring, preparing the stage for a man and a beast. The lions and the tigers would be released into the cage, and the bold, brave lion tamer would thrill the fans by getting the lions and the tigers to roll over and act like kittens. It took nerves of steel to train these animals to step into the cage every night, and then maybe, as a dramatic finale, to stick your head in its mouth. That doesn't sound like fun to me. Today's story is all about animals, or one animal in particular, the lion. I wonder if you know lots and lots of animals. Let's have another challenge. I'm going to put a timer on the screen, and I want you to see how many animals you can name in a minute. Have a go. I'll see you back here in a moment. How did you get on? I bet you can name loads and loads of animals. Sometimes it's difficult when the timer's going to think of them. Do you have a favourite animal? I like giraffes and alpacas. Today's story involves one particular species of animal, a lion. And I thought it'd be really fun if you could disguise yourself as a lion. Have you got a lion outfit? Don't worry if you haven't. All you need is a paper plate to do this. And I want you to carefully cut out the circle in the middle of your plate so that you can fit your face through. And then using coloured pens, you could decorate it with a mane, and maybe with the circle that you've cut out, you could make some ears. Have a go and let me know what you come up with, and I'll see you back here in a very little bit. So you can put on your lion masks at the right moment, and I reckon you can probably work out what that moment is. Some books you just listen to as someone else reads them, but this book is different. Every time there's a word on a page that is a sound, you have to try and make the sound yourself. Shall we practice the sound a lion makes? Roar, roar, roar! Now we're ready to start this true story from the Bible about a man called Daniel, a king called Darius, and some very hungry lions. Every day, the people of Babylon woke up to the sound of the king's roaring, ravenous lions. Roar, roar, gnash, gnash. And every day, Daniel got out of bed, went to the window, knelt down, and prayed to God. Daniel loved God and talked to him each and every day. Daniel trusted God and knew that he was in control of everything that happened. God made Daniel wise and clever and honest. King Darius liked Daniel and put him in charge. Click, click, scratch, scratch. But not everyone was happy. Mutter, mutter, plot, plot. Some important men didn't like Daniel. They wanted to get rid of him. What would they do? They came up with a very clever plan. "O great king, you must make a law that cannot be broken. Anyone who prays to God must be fed to the roaring, ravenous lions. Grovel, grovel." King Darius agreed, and he made a law that could not be broken. What should Daniel do? Daniel loved God. Daniel served God. Daniel knew that God was in control. Think. He knew that God could be trusted, even if he was thrown into the roaring, ravenous lions. Scratch, scratch. Each and every day he went to his window and knelt down and carried on praying to God. What do you think happened next? Stamp, stamp. The nasty men had Daniel arrested and taken before the king. King Darius was sad and knew that he had been tricked. He didn't want to feed Daniel to the roaring, ravenous lions, but he'd made a law that couldn't be broken. Clink, clink. What could he do? King Darius ordered the men to throw Daniel into the den filled with roaring and ravenous lions. The king said to Daniel, "May the God who you serve save you." Thump, thump, bump, bump. A great big stone was put over the entrance, and all went quiet. What would the lions do? Toss, toss, turn, turn. King Darius could not sleep. He was so worried about Daniel. He was cross that he'd been tricked. Would God keep Daniel safe from the roaring, ravenous lions? What do you think? Just as the sun was rising, King Darius ran to the den. Rush, rush, puff, puff. He called out, "Daniel, are you there? Did God save you from the roaring, ravenous lions?" "Yes," called Daniel. "God sent an angel who shut their mouths." The stone was rolled away and Daniel came out alive and well. There was not a single scratch on him. "Now, where are those evil men who tricked me?" said Darius. What would the king do? He ordered his men to throw them into the den. Roar, roar, crunch, crunch, where the very hungry lions ate them all for breakfast. King Darius learnt something important that day. He told everyone in his kingdom, the God that Daniel loves and serves, the God who rescued Daniel from the roaring, ravenous lions, is the one true God who lives forever. The end. Oh, that story had a bit of a gruesome ending. Sorry, I should have warned you first. But this story has encouraged Christians down the ages to trust God when things get tough, to put God first when people are whispering about us and when everything else seems lost. This story makes us to think a bit more about who God is. That God is a God who rescues. And you know what? The word for rescue in the Jewish language is Yeshua. It starts with a J, but it's pronounced a Y. And is also the same name as Jesus. So Jesus is our rescuer. In that story, Daniel put his trust in God. He had the faith that God would rescue him no matter what happened, whether he was thrown into the lion's den or not. He trusted that God would be with him and God would save him. And that's what happened. Sometimes it can feel like things are not always going right. That maybe we're in a scary situation. I hope you're not going to be thrown into a den with some lions. But sometimes it can feel like we're scared or things are not going right. And in those moments, the great thing is we can talk to God and he can help us in those moments. I tell you about a story once. I lived in Africa for a little bit, for a couple of months. And while I was there, I had to do some teaching, a bit like I'm doing now, but with some adults. And I had to teach these people all about young people and all about what it means to be a child. And I was really, really scared. The first evening came and I was terrified. I really didn't think that I was going to be able to teach these people. And so my friend and I sat in the room and we prayed and asked God to be with us, to be with me. And as soon as she started praying, I felt calm. And what was really strange about that situation is that I saw Jesus in the corner of the room smiling at me. And I knew in that moment everything was going to be okay. And it was. It was still scary, but it worked out okay. I wonder if who you turn to when you're scared or when you've got worries. Maybe you could turn to God. Let's pray. Thank you, God, that you were with Daniel all those years ago and that you saved him from the lions. I pray that you would be with each one of us whenever we're worried or scared or feel like we're in trouble. Thank you that you have promised to be with us. Keep us safe. Amen. Thank you very much for joining me today for this holiday club. I hope you have a great time. I'm gonna there's one more activity if you want to do that. You can do that. If not, see you tomorrow. Bye. Hello. Today we're going to make this lion storyteller origami from the ministryarc.com. You can find the template that looks like this either in the files section on our Facebook page or in the link in the description below. So when you've printed it out, you want to cut out your square and you can colour in your lion pieces, his face and his face because he's got a mane, and the tongue pieces. And when you've done that, we're going to fold it in half and then fold it in half again. So we've made a small square. Now we're going to unfold that and turn it over. And all of these points need to come to the middle. So this one to the middle. I like to turn it as I go. This one. And you're folding along that line. Now we're going to turn the whole thing over. So you've got the whole thing over. And the new points are going to be taken to the middle again. So the numbers show on the top. The numbers and the tongue. It could be a bit fiddly because there's lots of paper to fold. A couple of different layers. And then one last one. I'm sure you've folded it better than I have. And then we're going to turn it, I'll fold it in half again. And now your fingers are going to go in the little flaps. You've got smaller fingers than me, so it should be fine. And then you can, you should be able to bring it out. Ooh. And there we have our lion. And now you can open his mouth and go rah, and you can ask one of your friends or your family to choose a number, and then it tells you a verse from the Bible. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't depend on your own understanding. I hope you've enjoyed that, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.